So this ends the section on Mukti. One second, please. And we now move on to a discussion on how to achieve Mukti. Kapila now starts looking at the sadhanas for Mukti and gives us some insights into that. So the first one is Sthira Sukham Asana Mitina Niyamaha. So he says that Sthira Sukham Asanam, we did this sutra earlier, as you may recall, which says that the asana, the seat for performing meditation, should be stable, sthira, and sukha. It should be comfortable. So that kind of seat when you take, you can do meditation for a longer period. So he says for this, there is no rule. That means there is no rule in what kind of asana you should sit for samadhi. Whatever is comfortable for you, whatever holds you in one position without shaking for a long time, that is the right asana for you. And there is no prescription for which asana you should sit in. If you have attended any yoga classes, you will find some of the yoga teachers recommending some particular asanas. For example, Buddha is always seen in Padmasana. So that is said to be the best asana. Uh, it is possibly the best asana for meditation. But however, even if you are not able to sit in Padmasana, if you are able to do uh, sit in another asana, for example, even if you're sitting on a chair, it's all right, and you can perform your meditation sitting on a chair comfortably. So next one is Dhyanam Nirvishayam Manaha. He says Dhyana, which is a conglomeration of dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, which we have done in Yoga Darshan for those of you who may recall it. Meditation in general involves the process by which the mind, mana, is without any connection with its object. So again, mana, if you may recall, it consists of four parts. Okay, buddhi, ahankara, mana, and chitta. All those four parts are included in mana here. All these four parts should lose touch with their object of um, grasping or of working on. So, for example, mana is outward facing, it collects stuff from the indriyas or gives orders to the indriyas. So, it has to break connection with the indriyas. Chitta is sitting and working with memory. So, it has to break connection with memory. Ahankar is giving a perception to the soul that the body is actually the soul. That also has to get disconnected. Buddhi is thinking. Normally, when we go into meditation, we go into a thinking mode. That also is to be stopped. Without that, it doesn't work. Okay, we will see later. And here also, actually, you may remember the second sutra of Yoga Darshanam was Chitta Vritti Nirodhascha. So, Chitta Vritti, all the ways of functioning of the mind have to be stopped. They must not continue to operate. That is the whole purpose of samadhi. So, same thing Kapila has also said. He continues, Ubhayathapya Visheshaschain Navam Uparaga Nirodhat Visheshaha Ubhayathapi Avisheshaha Chet. He now gives a Purva Pakshi statement that uh, whether I am performing dhyana or whether I am indulging in bhoga, how does it make a difference? The soul is anyway nisanga. It is not connected to the body. So why do I have to stop the functioning of the mind in order to see the soul? I should be able to see the soul as it is. It is anyway disconnected with the body. You only are saying it is nisang, but at the same time you are saying that you have to stop the functioning of the body, the mana being the last portion to stop functioning. uh, it's not necessary. There is no difference between the two states of bhoga or dhyana. So he says, na evam uparaga nirodhat visheshaha. He says, no, it is not like that. Because of uparaga, this uh, uh, desires which are located close to a thing, or you can just say attachments. Because of attachments uh, being stopped, nirodha, dhyana avastha, the state of meditation, is special, visheshaha. Okay, so what he's saying is that in the state of meditation, we are stopping our attachment with the body. That attachment with the body, that synapse which was there, which was continuously transmitting information both ways, that synapse also, information flow is broken between the two. And that is the difference between dhyana and bhoga state. During the bhoga state, the communication is happening across the synapse. In the dhyana state, we have cut off the communication. All right. Okay. So continuing on the same, he says, nisange apye uparago avevekat. He says that even though the soul is nisanga, uh, the uparaga is there because of aviveka. Attachment is there because of aviveka. So see that aviveka is to be understood as like the dust on the mirror. The mirror has become murky. That the you clean it off, and you can again see the soul as is, uh, free of any attachment. It is this aviveka which is creating this delusion that you are your body. So this aviveka being present, there is uparaga during bhoga, even though the soul is nisanga. I actually, if the soul is always detached from the body, why should we ever have any bhoga? So he is explaining that this bhoga exists because of uparaga, and that exists because of aviveka. I think we are clear about that. Yes, Srividya, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah. So here again, the definition seems like as though uh, the attachment is causing aviveka and aviveka is causing the attachment. And I remember that other verse where we said that actually they're both two sides of the same coin or something. But here again, when the sentence is coming out again, it looks like one is leading to the other and
No,
the
no,
other is
no,
leading
no.
to one.
So that was between bandha and aviveka. So bandha is equal
Yeah.
to being connected to the body. And uparaga now is that
But
the sensations of the body are being experienced by you. Okay. The
this attachment is not that bandha.
um, this attachment is the emotional feeling which you have towards things,
Okay.
the anubhuti which you have.
Okay. The
It is
likes, the dislikes, the kind of all the raga dvesh that we pick up.
exactly. It is now further explained in the next sutra. So let us look at the next sutra, and then we will take up your question maybe if required.
Uttira,
Yes.
Uttira, I have a question. Earlier, this statement he says that little bit of even the Jivan Muktas, they do have a little bit of the attachment with the body till they are alive.
So that is what we were talking about just now. That attachment is a different bandha, and this attachment, what is uparaga, what is being talked about, is your attachment for your body in terms of your love for your body and all the things that it likes. So we have gone one level further down. We were first on the soul, then now soul thinking it is the body, and now we are saying the soul loving everything which the body wants. Okay, so that is uparaga. It is the rag and dvesh combination here, which we are talking about. It is further explained, so let us look at that. Japa sphatikayoriva noparagaha kintvabhimanaha. So, if you recall, we have been using this analogy fairly often, that the connection of the soul and the body is like a pure crystal which is put, and you put japa kusum, that is hibiscus flower behind it. Okay, typically a red flower. So now if you see from this side, you can see the red flower behind it. It looks as if the crystal only has become red. Okay, so like that, the perception of the world occurs in this mind. So he says that that uparagatvam, this uparag what we are talking about, is not of that nature, but it is actually abhiman. So that uparaga when you are talking about, or rather this uparaga which we are saying, if you see that crystal and hibiscus thing, the light passes through the crystal without really causing any change in the crystal. The difference here in the case of this soul getting this communication from the body is that the experience is felt within the soul. Even though we are saying that everything stops, the sensation stops at chitti, at the chit, which we saw earlier, the bodily sensations stop at the chit, that is correct. But because of ahankar, the pain or joy or whatever feeling is connected with that, that is felt by the soul as if it is its own. Okay, that is the difference, that is the connection which ahankar is providing via buddhi. That is why we saw buddhi we place above ahankar, because there are so many things in buddhi which don't have any emotion attached to them. When we say 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, there is no emotional feeling which you feel towards it. There is no uparaga. But if you say that your friend has come, then immediately you feel happy. Then that feeling of happiness is not contained per se in the buddhi. The soul only is feeling as if yes, it is my friend, and feels good that yes, my friend has come. Okay, so that is the difference between the japakusam and spatika money analogy and the soul and the body. The soul does have experience something when it is given some information through that synapse. It doesn't change its nature. It just experiences it as if it was its own. Okay, if there is any pain, if any thorn pricks me, nothing is actually happening to me, but that pain of the body is felt by me as if it is happening to me, to the soul. All right, is that clear? Tell me if it isn't clear.
Clear.
Clear. Okay, so let us take the next one. ध्यान धारणाभ्यास वैराग्यादिभिस्तन्निरोधः. This is again very similar to Yoga Darshanam. You will see the similarity here.
Madam, which text are you flying? Because I am there is a jump from 27 through 33 in something that I have. Oh, I think my scanned copy misses pages. Okay, leave it. My problem.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying was, you can see that this topic has now moved to closer to what we had covered in Yoga Darshanam. So Yoga Darshanam gave you the steps to Samadhi very explicitly in great detail, because that was its subject. that is not the subject of Sankhya Darshan. However, Kapila has to make sure that he covers some ground in that direction, since Mukti is part of Sankhya as well. So he is giving some sadhanas, some means to attain samadhi, to attain moksha. So he says tan nirodha. Tan nirodha means chitta vritti nirodha. Same thing. Okay. So to achieve the stoppage of the functions of the mind, you should follow dhyana, dharana, abhyasa, vairagya, adi, etc. Okay. So by putting adi, he is telling you that there is more, go elsewhere. That is, go to yoga darshanam. Okay. However, I am giving you the main ones. Main ones are which? Dhyana. Dhyan, as I told you, is meditation. Here, dhyan equals dhyan plus samadhi of yoga darshanam. Dharana is the first stage of samadhi. Typically, in the meditation which we perform with all these gurus, etc., will fall under dharana, where we try to focus our minds on one item only. Okay, so that is dharana. Actually, it is usually what we do meditation in these places where they ask you to focus on a very pleasant scene, some mountains are there, some waterfall is there, etc. That is this indriya um, stoppage of the indriyas, in fact. So you just close your senses and let your buddhi, chitta, mana, ahankar, all of them do their work. So there is actually just mana is stopping its work. Everything else, all other three parts are functioning. So it's not even actually this, it is the last one of the Ashtanga Yoga. Just before Dharana is what, not Parigraha, just what Parigraha in my mind, but Indriya are basically drawn inwards. Okay, the Indriya lose connection with their objects. That stage only you reach. Dharana is when you actually focus on one item only. Make sure that you are not in a scene where your attention is going in a huge area. It has to be in a very limited area that you move your attention. So dharana is that dhyana, where you make that attention continuous. You have to make sure that there is no fall in your attention. And then in samadhi, you become one with the object that you are thinking about. And slowly with that, you completely stop thinking altogether with as you gain experience in samadhi. So dhyana, dharana, abhyasa, vairagya. Abhyas is in the beginning when you start meditation, then repetitive trial. See, meditation will never suddenly happen. So don't be scared if you sit down for meditation and it is not working. Yes, that is how the nature of the mind is. The mind will always pull you in and make sure that you don't go to yourself. It will always pull you towards itself. That is the way this mind works. So we have to keep practicing, and slowly God does give us a reward, and slowly we start moving towards dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So abhyas is of chitta vritti nirodha. Vairagya is leaving your attachments, giving up your attachments. See, what happens is that when you have very deep attachments, then they only take up so much of your mind space that you are not able to give up thinking about them for even a small time, for even an instant. So that is a big hurdle in dhyana. So the moment you start becoming virakt, you will see that the quality of your dhyan also improves. You see, most of us are worldly, and we will hear the bell ring while we are sitting in our dhyan. And our first tendency is to get up and go and see who is at the door. That is an example of avairagya, where we feel it is more important to go and see who is at the door than for us to at this time sit and control our mind. With difficulty, we have found this time in which we are sitting down for our meditation, but yet the world keeps pulling us in that time. So the only way out of that is to inculcate vairagya inside you.
Uttaraji, I have a question here.
Mhm.
Like, I completely understand the worldly attachment which never lets us go out and do what we want, you know,
Mhm.
it kind of constantly pulls. But like for the example that you gave and many other examples,
Mm.
is it not that we feel so because we are responsible towards something, you know, we are
No,
trying to do
I
something.
felt the same way, Mala. Then Suhas has
Huh.
a good solution for it. He says that you think you have gone out, you have gone to the mall for shopping. Can you listen to the bell then? No. So this thing is very good. I think we have to think that way. We are not there. We are not in the house. That's it. You have to presume, unless of course you gave somebody some appointment and now you have forgotten about it and sat down for dhyana, then of course it is not good on your part. But if somebody
Agree.
has come in unannounced, then it is not your duty to open the door for them. uh, you have found this time for the most important activity of your life. You must give up everything and then sit for meditation. Okay, don't have any doubt on that.
Okay,
Please follow it.
I understand.
Okay, and then by Adi, all the other steps in Ashtanga Yoga, including Yama, Niyama, etc., are included by Adi. Okay, Kapila feels that these are the four main ones: Dhyana, Dharana, Abhyas, and Vairagya. All others are also necessary, but these are the final ones which will take you there.
Yeah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The samadhi is the ultimate, no? This Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, in that says all the 8 steps, and samadhi is the ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, you become one with the Satchit.
No, not immediately. There are
Beyond
stages
that is
in
also
samadhi.
the,
Yeah.
okay.
So the first
One
step
has to
is
go
that
beyond samadhi
after
also.
you have achieved samadhi, the beginning, when you are able to forget even yourself, when you're focusing on something, then you become that thing. That is when we say you have achieved samadhi. Now when you continue practice of samadhi, slowly even that thought will go away, and then you will be left with being yourself alone. That is when it is called viveka khyati. And when you can continue to with more practice, you can elongate the period for which you feel this viveka khyati till it becomes aviplava, unwavering. You feel it all the time. Even when you open your eyes out of samadhi, you will continue to be in that state.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, where are we on the time front? Maybe we should take up one more. Actually, I would like to take up two more. That will finish this section. So we'll quickly do those. Laya vikshepayor vyavrityetya acharyaha. So he says that other acharyas say that lay and vikshepa, these are two separate states. Chitta vritti, if you recall, there were 5 chitta vrittis which we learned, and these were pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, smriti, and nidra. So nidra is where all the senses, they become vilina, they dissolve, and you are no longer you kind of lose a little bit of that connection. So that is called laya. And others are all vikshepa, where your mind is functioning. That is pramana, vikalpa, viparyaya, and smriti. In all those, your mind is working. So he says that this state of dhyana is different from laya or vikshep. Both these 5 types of chittavrittis which are there, the state of dhyana is different from those. Okay. So next one is an easy one. Na sthana niyamash chitta prasadat. He said that there is no niyama, no prescription again for sthana, where you sit for meditation. Chitta prasada. The main thing you have to consider is that you should feel comfortable, happy, not disturbed. That is the main thing you should consider when you sit for meditation. So you may recall, I think even in Manusmriti, we had seen that Manu had said that sit next to a water body. Actually, even in the Vedas, it is mentioned that you should sit next to a river or something. That sound of water is very soothing and sends us very quickly into the meditative state. So that is why that those prescriptions are there. The Bodh and Jain bhikshus, as you know, they had built all these caves in the most difficult of places, because cave is also considered good. There is no light. You can be fairly protected from the elements over there, and there is no sound. So that is another way to look at it. So it is possible that for a person, even the kalkal sound of water may not be pleasing. They want complete silence. So as per your wish, whatever makes you feel at ease, that is the place you should use for meditation. Okay, we are ending here. This ends the section on samadhi. If there's any question, we can have it now.
I remember in Yoga Darshanam him Patanjali mentioning like I mean in similar direction, like do not have up and down, where the ground be is flat.
That
and
is actually part of
have
Shvetashvatara Upanishad.
Shvetashvatara, is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere I remember it, like where ground is flat and do not
Correct,
have
correct.
anything, like as soon as you open your eyes,
Yeah.
do not have a scenery which disturbs you or something like that. Okay, it's
Yeah,
from
don't have a
Shvetashvatara.
fire burning.
I think
The
I
crackling.
think
Yeah,
at the
fire.
beginning they give such advices, but this is coming towards the end of 6th chapter. So you're saying one, I think one who has practiced at the beginnings, we look for such silly distractions, but as we progress, I think we will ignore them. So towards the end, the direction is slightly different.
No, I don't think that is the issue. This is for beginners only. Actually, when you are towards the end, nobody can disturb you, however much they try. You would have heard of those rishis being even shaken up, and they continue in the samadhi. So that is a state where even in the middle of a crowd, you can be in dhyana. But in the beginning, when any small thing also brings us back to the world, we have to ensure that anything which disturbs us, we manage to eliminate it. That is the idea. So all those things were for that, basically giving advice to the beginner that do not sit on uneven ground, because if by chance your body moves little bit this side, then you will fall off. So make sure that you are sitting where you are secure. Even if you're not falling off, you'll have this feeling, I might fall off. So that itself uh, will break your concentration. You should feel comfortable. Okay, so shall we say our prayer now?
Sure.
Please unmute yourself.
Om
Abhayam
Mitraad Abhayam Amitraad
Abhayam
Abhayam Jnataad Abhayam Puroyah
Abhayam naktam abhayam divanah
abhayam divanah
sarva
sarva asha mama mitram bhavantu.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Vitra.
Most welcome.
Dhanyavad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And on the auspicious
Thank you.
occasion of Guru Purnima coming up in a few days, we offer
In another
our
2
pranams
days
to
is
you.
coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Uttara.
All right.
Thank you, Uttaraji. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our
Thank
humble
you.
pranam.
Thank you, Prashanti. Bye bye.